Spring is here, and if you're like me, you're ready for a total refresh, starting with your skin. And that's exactly why I'm loving iRestore's latest skincare products. Their Renew Calming Facial Spray is amazing, especially for dry skin. It gives instant hydration, calms irritation, and helps firm your skin. And when used before the Illumina Red Light Face Mask, it enhances the benefits of the therapy. I also suggest pairing the Renew Calming Facial Spray and Anti-Aging Eye Cream with your Illumina Face Mask so you can see even better results. Give your skincare the love it deserves. For a limited time, subscribe and save 25% off or more, plus free shipping on iRestore Skincare, and our listeners are getting a huge discount on the iRestore Illumina face mask when you use code SALLY at iRestore.com. So head over to iRestore.com and use code SALLY for our show's exclusive discounts. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Unlock your best skin with iRestore.
Sally and I chose Function because it's the best in the world for testing. It's an all-in-one health platform with over 100 advanced lab tests covering your entire body, 5 times more than the average physical. Comprehensive and focused on critical biomarkers, it offers testing twice a year. Available across the U.S. and super easy to use. It's recommended by Dr. Mark Hyman, Dr. Andrew Huberman, Dr. Casey Means, and hundreds of health experts. Kicking off the summer, Function is sharing their Long Live campaign. Long Live is a celebration of the everyday moments that make life worth staying healthy for. For me, this means long live crewing Sally at ultras and other crazy adventures. This means long live watching our kids cross finish lines and score goals. In the spirit of long live and taking control of your health, get a $100 credit towards your annual membership at www.functionhealth.com/Sally McRae. This $100 credit is only for the first 1,000 listeners. So sign up at functionhealth.com/Sally McRae.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Choose Strong podcast. I'm your host, Sally McRae. And if you are tuning in on video, you can already see our wonderful guests. We have Max and Mackenzie. Say hello, guys.
Hi.
What's up?
How are you doing?
Oh, we're doing okay.
We're well. I'm doing great.
We'll dive into all things that Max is experiencing as a runner right now in just a little bit. But we have been talking for the last hour already, which is so fun to do. And then we were like, oh, we should probably start this podcast.
Yeah.
So if you've just started your run, I just want to say well done on showing up for yourself today. And thank you so much for choosing to spend your time with us. We're very grateful to have you here. I forgot to say, Max and Mackenzie, like, as far as the microphones go, both of you will always be on camera.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then, so usually it's like whoever's talking, that's
totally
that's the
fine.
person that
So
you
don't
see.
pick my nose while Max is talking. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
You're still good. Yeah.
At
I probably will.
first we wanted to do like all 4 of us on here. So so our viewers know, Eddie is behind the camera right now. He is a producer, director today and keeping us on track because I think the 3 of us are really good at talking.
We could go on forever.
Yeah.
We absolutely
For sure.
could. But then we were like, we think 4 microphones is just a little bit too much when you're listening, 4 voices. So we're like, okay, we'll keep it 3. And we really just want to hear from you guys today. So, it's been so awesome to have you guys back because we had you, Jack, in the last 2 months, like individually. And one thing that I told myself was like, I need to get both of them on here together so that we could just hear both of you guys talk. I think we're just going to start right away with what happened recently. We're going to dive into like Cocodona.
Mhm.
Not everyone, I mean, most people that are listening probably have not run a 200. So I think we'll just start with kind of just breaking down the race. Max, I think that will be really fun just to hear
Yeah.
the course, what it was like driving out there and then just kind of like hopes and goals, and then we'll kind of like break down because Mackenzie, you were crew chief, but you also had like media crew, you had pacers, you had other crew with you. There's a lot to manage, and it was like horrific storm.
It was chaos, carnage,
chaos, and carnage.
Every single person running.
So I think our listeners are going to have fun hearing this story because it's going to be very, very exciting. For those of you that are not familiar with Cocodona 250, it is a race, a point-to-boy race in Arizona. It starts in Phoenix, ends in Flagstaff. It is one of the toughest, most popular 200-plus mile races in the world. And you can still go back on Aravipa or Mountain Outpost's YouTube channels and see all the episodes. They put out daily episodes as the race was happening. So Jamil is dialing in all of the content very well with all of his races. But this year at Cocodona, because the content was so amazing, the race then sold out within like 30 minutes. So
I think it was like 6 minutes or something.
It was like 6
something
minutes.
wild.
Incredible. But our sport is changing just on the content side. But get acquainted with Cocodona 250. This, Max, was going to be your first Cocodona 250. You are still just less. It still hasn't even been a year since you've won Moab 240, right?
No, it was like 6 months.
Yeah, it was 6 months ago.
Yeah,
so
7 months.
When we really break that down, what the body goes through in a 200-plus mile race, it's not the same as a 100.
No.
But this idea of running Cocodona 250, I know Jamil probably approached you and was like, "Hey, this is the next one," and you knew about it, right?
Yeah.
Couldn't pass up that opportunity. But what was your mindset after recovering from Moab 240, which when you put out the effort to race, it's a very different effort than, I want to finish at whatever, I want to get to that finish line. And some people are taking 4 or 5, almost 6 days to finish that. What was kind of going through your head when you were considering doing Cocodona 250?
I mean, to be honest, I think I still had stuff lingering from
100%
from Moab that I never quite recovered from. I mean,
your system.
And like just a minor injury that was like kind of had popped up in training and leading up to Cocodona, which was probably lingering from Moab, which limited not so much the amount of work that I was able to do, but like more so the intensity. So I was kind of just dealing with that, and I was super fired up to do Cocodona. I mean, I found out about Cocodona the first year when Michael Versteeg won it, and I ended up going out there in 2023 just to volunteer at the Fain Ranch aid station. So that was my first like actual time like being there and experiencing it, and it was just like such a crazy, amazing race that it was always kind of on my radar. And then as soon as I started running 200s, I mean, it was on my bucket list even before I started running 200s. So after Moab, it was like, Cocodona is the next one. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so leading up in your training, so you began 2025, you did Black Canyon, right?
Black Canyon, that was
a training race.
Yeah, that was kind of like the kickoff to the training block leading into Cocodona. And I ran a solid race at Black Canyon 50K, and then I just kind of wanted to carry the momentum onward into Cocodona. I was able to do a ton of volume, which I mean, I can play the what if game. I mean, so many things went wrong at Cocodona that I don't really even know how much of my training I was able to even utilize.
Well, I want to pause there because you are one of the hardest workers that I know in this sport.
Yeah.
You are so I mean, we went to the BPN Athlete Week, and then like a few days later, you and I were in Arkansas because we're Camelback athletes together, which is it's been so fun experiencing all this with you, Max. But very disciplined and focused, very dialed in. Like
I was hitting it hard.
Your training is always on your mind. Your goals are on your mind, and I love that. This is kind of like where I want to turn towards you, Mackenzie, because
What is it like dealing with
yeah.
me? Yeah.
But here's the thing, because I say this to Eddie too. I go, you are literally the only person that actually sees me and what I do. Like literally everything I do, because social media gets little like snippets. They get to see a little bit of your Strava. They get to see the fun reel and the picture.
Yeah,
they get highlights of the work, but
they don't see me walking down the stairs in the morning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They don't see like it is a full-time job. It's a full-time focus. And so Mackenzie, I kind of want you to give us like the behind the scenes inside of what it's like when Max is training for a race.
I mean, it really, since Moab, he took like I don't even know what 2 weeks off. Like seriously, I don't even know how many like down
he
weeks
went and
he
ran
had.
like a 2:40 marathon a few weeks after winning Moab.
Yeah, that was the Cayman
so
Islands marathon.
It's never really slowed down. And I'm so used to just like being in the groove with him, and our schedules align so well in terms of that. Like I get to be there during the day to help him with lunch and help him with his training. And then on the weekends, he goes and does his things. But he's also very good at like scheduling out important things. Like that's one thing that I can praise him on is like he's so good at balancing all of it. I think it's very difficult because he works a full-time job, and you know, I have a family that wants to see him, and he has family that wants to see him, and we have friends and we have dogs and we have all of it. But he does really well. I'm so used to it, and I think my job is so active that like oh, Max is running as a part of his training. Like I do everything that I can to support him, and he's very good at asking for what he needs, and like that's that. But it is kind of wild to watch. You know, I've said this on the last podcast, like I'm not easily impressed with like anyone's weekly mileage or any of that. I'm like, between him and Andy Glaze, I'm like, you guys are out of your minds.
Yeah.
Like the 100+ mile weeks. But I don't know, we just kind of make it work, and we're lucky that it plays out the way that it does.
Did you guys feel like this build up to Cocodona was different from Moab 240 now that you've experienced the 200? I mean, maybe even feeling a little bit more pressure to perform a certain way. Did you change stuff?
I was like, that was a stacked field.
Oh, yeah. And it will be forever
so
now.
He also had added in the bike ride. Like he was doing
I
century
was doing
rides
way
every
more.
weekend. I was like 8-9 hours on a bike. Like,
yeah.
okay, see
my peak week I think was like close to 130 mile week with 160 mile bike ride, so like almost 300 miles of
volume
of human powered mileage. Yeah, with like a 30-hour week while working a full-time job and like trying to drop merch and release a film and like live somewhat of a normal life. It was
tiring. I was also training, so it was like a lot of. Our house was tired.
Yeah, you were training for your second marathon, which you had an amazing PR for.
So it was a lot of like, everyone was very focused, but I know what the goal is, so.
Yeah,
I think it's still crazy that you ran OC Marathon and then hopped on a flight and went straight into Cocodona.
Literally 2 hours later, which I don't know what's more painful. I've always said that road marathons are more painful than a 50-mile trail race.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I've never done a 50-mile trail race, so I don't know.
If you can run a marathon, you can do a 50-mile trail race. I'm such a believer in that. But yeah, it's just different. You're moving differently. Obviously, you also have more time.
You know what?
50s.
It was the hardest part was not sleeping after, because he was sick going into Cocodona. So that night, I arrived in Arizona. We went to eat, and then pre-race jitters. We're organizing the vests and all the things that he needed, and we went to bed so late, and then. We have to be up at 4:00, and he was coughing all night. I'm like,
let's talk about being sick, because this is actually, we do a segment on our podcast called Sally Says. It's just like a coach's corner type thing. So people from the community, they submit questions, and they're great questions. And a lot of times it'll be like the most frequently asked question from that week. But one of them is about like, how do I know if I should race when I'm sick?
Sally says,
and it's
don't
like,
race sick.
Well, it's so specific.
Don't do
because,
it.
Like,
don't do what I did.
I know. So it's like, I always err on the side of like, well, if it's gotten to your lungs, like you might have to just pick a new race, or like how far are you away from the race? So then sometimes you're like walking that fine line. And we talked about this before we even started, when I talked about Tahoe, where it was like, I was really sick going in, and then how I suffered pretty much for the, all through the rest of the series. But I think you're at some point when you got sick, you're hoping, let's speed up this recovery. I'll do anything to get well.
Well,
right?
and that's what I was doing. And like I was, doing hyperbaric chamber. So the Monday, literally a week before the race, I woke up and I felt like a little bit of a sore throat, and I was like, oh no.
The day we start to taper.
Yeah. So
the Monday before the race. So literally like
1
6
week.
days,
And then like the next day, like the sore throat was a little worse, but I didn't really like feel sick. And then by Thursday, I was coughing, and like I'm pretty sure Friday night I didn't sleep a single wink, like the entire night. And then we drive out.
Those are critical sleep days.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Like the day before the day before is like
the 3 days leading up to it. No, it was like
So,
Mm-mm.
yeah, driving out there, we get to the Airbnb and I'm just like super sick and dealing with like a ton of like upper respiratory chest congestion. Like I'm starting to cough up like green mucus and yeah, if I could go back and do it all over again, like I would just wouldn't have started the race. I would have done, what you said, like pick a different race, just kind of pivot and not run 236 miles while being sick. That's like probably the dumbest thing you could do.
Do you feel like that's like harder after having pushed through what you did at Moab 240? I mean, do you kind of feel like you hit this whole other level of like, wow, I didn't know I was capable of pushing through that kind of pain and discomfort. So this is just a cold. I'm going to be fine.
I mean, now after going through it, I see that as like, oh my God, that was such an amazing like test for like just my spirit being able to like endure just with everything that was going wrong with me. But it was more so the pressure of like we already booked the van, we already paid for the hotels, the whole crew is out. There's photographers, there's filmers. Like I'm here. Like
So I think that's an important no. I think that is something that pro athletes do all the time.
The average person wouldn't have started.
Where you feel the weight of your team.
Yeah.
You feel the weight of like the investment.
Right.
And not even just like what you invested, like your body in training, but you're just like, wow, there's literally 10 people here to support me, whether it's the media, the content, like, and then like the crew and people giving up their whole week to help you get to the finish line. It is heavy.
Yeah.
And so it is easy to maybe even downplay having a little niggle or like a cold or something like that. Was your mindset like, I'm tough, I've gotten through, Moab 240, I pushed through a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of just to the point where I was like, this is just, I'm running this race no matter what, so this is just what I'm dealing with. And I was kind of hoping that as I got closer to the race that this like cold was going to go away. I mean, I did an entire week of hyperbaric chamber like the week before, but it didn't really do anything to kick the sickness. And then
I was hoping to run it off.
Yeah, and then I was thinking like, okay,
well, in the heat, sometimes you can breathe a little better. You can sweat exactly. So that is where we're going to pivot next. Max, break down the weather for us because historically, from year one, Cocodona 250 is brutally hot for certain sections, especially like that first 30, 50 miles. It is, it breaks people down.
I mean, it's a hot desert race. So that's what I was planning on. That's what I was expecting and honestly kind of hoping for. Just I do well in the heat. So I was like, this is a little bit of an advantage for me.
Right.
And from the start, I mean, it was cold. It was really humid the first day, and then like probably a couple hours into the race it started raining, so there was this storm that was coming through. And I think going into the race everyone was thinking like, oh, it's going to be cool weather, like everyone's going to be moving fast because it's going to be cold, and we're
like,
gonna
cool weather.
But no one accounted for like rain and hail and snow and
legit storm.
I
mean, this was a brutal.
When has it ever snowed at
Cocodona?
It
was snowing day one.
Like, whatever that mountain is.
So we back home, we're all seeing that there was this requirement for your cold weather kit. What? So already you guys have required gear. Can you like kind of tell our listeners what that looks like? Because if you race Western states, there's no required gear for that 100-mile race. Like that. Like you pick and choose what you want. Right. But for 200s, it's a little different. So not only do you have like this required gear, but now they're adding this other layer. So a lot of you are lining up at the start line with like a 10-pound pack.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have to have a lot of water.
Cold weather gear, yeah.
Yeah.
And
so what is that?
I think the cold weather gear, like the mandatory cold weather gear, I think was just like a rain jacket and then another like mid layer, like a insulating, somewhat of an insulating layer, which isn't really too much. But then it's like, because it's cold, like you're going to want a beanie, you're going to want gloves, you're going to want, whatever, a gaiter, a bandana. So it's like all of those things plus, carrying all the water that you have to, we still had to carry 4 liters, like the same amount of water that you would need in a hot year. So we still had to carry that plus the cold weather gear. Plus, the drop bags didn't show up at the first couple of aid stations.
We're going to get to that too.
Yeah.
So I think this is really good for our listeners to hear this because it is not the same as a 100-mile race. A lot of these 200s are a little bit more out there. They are a little bit more like in high country and like way out from even like popular trails. So you do carry a lot more. I know I carried 5 liters. I'm a heavy drinker.
Yeah.
So I have to have, like, I had 5 liters. I remember feeling like I was carrying 20 pounds when I did that race. But like, what was it like when you woke up race morning standing at the start line? Was it clear skies and you were like, hey, it's nice and cool, like this is gonna be a great day? Or were you already feeling like, uh-oh?
It felt like gloom and doom from the start. Like it was coming.
Picking up the bibs, it was so windy and like you could see storm clouds.
Yeah.
Like we were like, oh shoot.
Yeah, you could see it coming.
It was coming. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you're at the start line, 5 a.m. start.
Yep.
So you guys start in the dark. What was the energy like there? I know it was the most competitive field that they've ever had.
So cool.
Did you have a strategy going in knowing that you were sick? Were you like, I need to adjust and not try to lead? Or was it like, if I can just stay with the top 10%?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to just, stay with the front runners. And I went out with Dan Green and Courtney and Mike and everybody and ran probably the first 5 or 10 miles with most of them. And then as soon as we started like the climbing, the real climbing, it was my ability to breathe was very apparent. And that's when I really started coughing up like these crazy like mucus globs that were like blocking my airway. So there was like moments where I'd be on this climb, I'd cough, a big chunk of mucus would come into my throat, and I literally couldn't breathe. I'd have to stop and cough it up.
Yeah, that is so scary.
Yeah, it's
because you're out there. I mean, that section, it's
pretty remote. Yeah,
it's very remote.
And then people were just passing me. I think I was probably in top 5 the first 5 or 10 miles, and then by Crown King, I don't know, I probably fell back to 16th, 17th place,
which is you're still up there. Yeah,
yeah.
Top 20, you're still up there.
Well, and I was able to climb back. I mean, I think when I dropped, I was in 8th, so I was at
7th at some point. Like
I was steadily climbing the ranks. Back
we could see that on the tracker because I followed incessant, like nonstop. Like I was like, I was like texting all hours. I felt like I knew you were awake. I was like, I'm just gonna text and like check in. But yeah, it was apparent you were always up there in the front. But yeah, Mackenzie had let me know that you were sick and struggling to breathe, and I was like, oh my gosh, I know that feeling, and it is terrible because you have fitness, you have this deep strength and endurance and fitness, and then your lungs aren't letting you get any of that oxygen to your legs.
The only training at that point that he falls back on is like mental fortitude. That wasn't even like a matter of, I think, fitness at that point.
That is what carried me through the entire race.
His brain getting him through.
So, Mackenzie, you guys decided to go to the first aid station where Kirk could see him, right?
Crown King.
Which we were originally maybe not going to.
With the weather, did you feel like we probably should? Or
and we were also worried about possible water crossing, I think, before that. So I just wanted to make sure if he needed to change anything that we had socks and shoes and whatever.
And it sounds like it was a great idea that you were there.
Thank God we went because there was no drop bags, and I luckily had enough fuel to hand off to him. But
luckily we had spare extra gels and nutrition in the van, but it wasn't what I was planning on. It was different stuff.
And it started to set us back in terms of fueling because when you miss 2 bags of fuel,
everything's planned out, and the drop bags.
The drop bags are there in case we don't make it. We're not there in case the drop.
The listeners are already seeing this. There's pictures of your drop bag preparation right now being shown. Like you are very organized and know what you're doing at each aid station. So that was coming through on the live stream that the top runners were not getting their drop bags. I know that Jamil allowed some of the cars to go and bring it to the next aid station.
So I think there was.
You had that section.
There was 2.
Still.
But there was 2
bags. 2 bags that were missed. Okay. And so he puts those bags there in case for some reason we don't make it. He has the fuel. It's not supposed to be the other way around.
But by the time I could get to my first drop bag, it was the 3rd aid station. So it's like day 1's almost done. So I've had to run an entire day with not my correct
what he needed
nutrition. Yeah.
How did you pivot in that? I know that as ultra runners we're amazing at being able to be flexible and bend on the fly. I know mentally it's like pretty a rough blow. So so early in the race. But what did you guys do?
He had extra for us in the van, enough for at least like those. Luckily, it was like we
okay.
were scraping by the end. Like I think we came home with like a few extra gels, and that was it. So he had eaten like everything. We were able to get that aid station bag later on, but luckily we had extra in the cars. Not everyone did. Some people are doing that unsupported. So it's like we got very lucky.
Yeah.
Some people who didn't have crews in that section and they like needed their cold weather stuff and it was in their drop bags and they didn't get it. And then you're hypothermic at day one, going into night. It's
I read that Kira had given Sarah like a wool shirt because she didn't have one. So it was like,
it's amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
Teamwork.
I always say this is, and this is just a fun little side note tip, but like trash bags are amazing.
I had some on me.
Trash, like in those moments. I mean, like whether you are a crew or like you're working an aid station or in those situations, sometimes those
cover someone with a trash bag.
Yeah, I've seen it in races before where kind of the same thing. A storm has rolled in and there's a runner in the aid station has literally nothing, and it's like give that person a trash bag. It helps big time.
It's better than nothing.
It's better than nothing. So you then did that climb out of Crown King. You're working your way up without all the gear and food that you normally had wanted. How are you feeling now as you're pushing toward the 100K mark? I think you're still struggling with your breathing at this point. It's starting to get really cold. The rain is coming down. Is it hailing now?
It was hailing before. It was like hail, snow before I got into Crown King. So that was honestly the coldest that I ever got.
I didn't know it was that early.
Yeah, the coldest.
I thought it was after Crown King. Okay.
So the coldest I ever was on that climb up before you drop down into Crown King. Like it was coming down on us, and I remember my hands got really cold. Like I got cold.
It's the worst feeling.
Yeah. And that was rough. And then into Crown King, and then leaving, and then once it started to get dark out, I mean, I was moving pretty well considering everything that was going on, and I was just like, I just wanted to make it to Whiskey Row to see the crew again. So I think I ran a pretty good section after that. I forget what those aid stations in between were, but I think coming into...
Well, there's like that one aid station where it's like...
Is it Camp Kippa or something?
Yeah, it's Camp Kippa. Yeah. You can they have the whole sleeping area on one side.
Yeah.
And it's like a cafeteria.
Yeah. And I was, at least I was getting to hang and run with people that I knew. So Finn Melanson, single track, me and him were kind of leapfrogging. And
you guys were together a lot.
Yeah, for a lot of the race. And
I was like, they should have a podcast together.
Yeah. We've already done one. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and then Jesse Haynes, I was hanging with him too. Michael McKnight, I finally met him, and we were talking.
Cool.
We were talking and running for
that
quite
early
a bit.
on. Don't you think it's nice just to like, you don't have to stress about like, I'm going to drop you right now, bro. It's like, it is nice to have people to
You're almost kind of working together in the beginning.
You are, and you start to absorb people ahead of you that are, if they are by themselves, like a pack can totally work together and catch people. So I think that camaraderie and that support, especially in the night hours, is so good. Were any of them struggling with cold or anything like that, or was it just
not that I could tell? Maybe they were just putting on, a good.
I'm strong. Are you strong?
Yeah.
I'm strong. Yeah.
I was clearly suffering, and everyone knew it. But I didn't really get that vibe from anybody else. Yeah.
Now the Whiskey Row is like mile 90.
No, it's like 70. I think the Fane Ranch is like 90, so it's maybe
Whiskey Row's the one in Prescott.
70 or 80 is Whiskey Row.
I think it's like 77 maybe. It's in the it was so fast.
Yeah, I know. You guys move so quickly. So you didn't see him for 45, 50 miles.
Mm-hmm.
What did you guys do when you left him at Crown King? Were you nervous? Was it
We were actually able to go to Camp Kippa because the aid station bags had been dropped, but we tried to get up one way and it was so muddy we couldn't make it up. And his mom had gone the other way, so she was able to get to the aid, and we didn't have enough time to drive down and back around.
Okay.
So we went straight into Prescott, and me and our best friend Bill, we went and like ate dinner and like sat down for a moment.
Must be nice.
Yeah. Like I reorganized the van, and I go and pick up the drop bags and figure out what he's gonna need, because it was a rough.
But like the entire way from, I mean, as soon as it started raining, it was like either pouring or snowing or hailing or this just light drizzle.
Yeah.
And especially at night, it's like you just have this like constant like movement of rain and like light in your eyes. It's like
Yeah.
it was almost like seemed like snow was coming down
Yeah.
for the entire night. I mean, into day 2, the entirety of day 2, and then I didn't even see sun until day 3.
Which
So-
is it's crazy. I think this is a good like call out. It's one thing when you're just cold, but being wet
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
never really ever being able to be dry on top of the cold. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
it definitely breaks your body down.
Yeah.
It messes with your nutrition, hydration too, because you're just like, I'm wet and cold the whole time. So you don't feel that need to drink and like
Yeah.
you kind of don't want to get your stuff out to eat. And like, what was that like for you? And how did you work through that?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just figured I wasn't sweating and losing as much fluid. So like I was carrying like a lot of water on me the whole time. Like I was maybe going through like a liter every 15, 20 miles. So,
Not enough.
not enough. But just like constantly having a full bladder
Yeah.
in the back of my vest, it was like, how many extra pounds is that you're,
Totally.
carrying?
Yeah.
And
We dropped down to a small bladder at some point. I was like, I'm not even going to bother with like a 3 liter, 2 liter.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
we need like the 1.5 and then the 2 front.
Yeah.
It was like not being used.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was trying to stay on top of it as much as I could, and I think I did it okay with my nutrition. I mean, it definitely wasn't.
He's good
what
at
we planned.
eating.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And you ate at the aid stations
Iron
when we fed
stomach,
you.
I've heard
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's very blessed in that sense.
That's great. That's a big part of the
So we got him to
200s. You
eat.
just this constant drip of calories and
Yeah.
carbs. Like it's so important. So you get to Whiskey Row,
Mhm.
high 70s, mile 80-ish area
Yeah, how
part
are
of the
my
race.
feet at that point?
Yeah, that's what
Are
I'm.
they-
That's what I'm want to hear now. This is almost.
I felt like they were okay. Yeah.
you were fine. We changed
We switched my
your
socks. Yeah.
some eucalyptus towels. Harry's fiance gave us some like eucalyptus
Essential oil. Yeah.
oil, like breathing oils to give him. So we were putting those on like warm rags when he came in.
Mhm.
Washed your feet, and then you put new toe socks on and left. His feet weren't bad then.
Yeah, my feet
That's
were
good.
okay.
There were no
at
blisters or
70.
anything.
Yeah, no.
which is awesome when you're running
For me-
in mud and puddles and yeah.
Well,
'cause
we didn't
saw
get to the mud yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Coming down that you had mud coming down into Prescott.
it
out of
wasn't
Camp
as bad
Kippa.
though.
Yeah.
The
It
mud
wasn't what you're about to go into.
The mud really started after we leave Whiskey Row, we go through the Granite Dells and then into coming into Fane Ranch.
Oh yeah, that huge
That-
field.
We
is-
talked about this.
Yes,
We talked about this
brutal.
section.
There's you kind of have to find your line.
So yeah, it's like
There's no smooth stepping
no,
anywhere.
it's
Just-
uneven
You just
and
have
you
to
were
stay like parallel to the watch is what we were told.
But
Yeah.
it's all little lumps. It's all just
so
like
that was all mud. So
my
so
gosh.
I mean, it was unrunnable. I don't think anyone really
Yeah.
ran that section before
and you
and
gotta go
after
under a
Whiskey Row.
tunnel too, don't you?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
a little tunnel.
But those big open fields, it was like this really sticky, like clay like
Yeah.
mud was just building up underneath my shoes, and it was like, I mean, I'm talking this thick of like mud
Bricks.
bricks
Yeah.
underneath my feet. So it's like you're trying to run with 5-pound weights on the
Yeah.
bottom of your feet.
It is heavy.
It was
It is. It's like it changes your running
it was the
gait.
most soul crushing thing
Yeah.
of the entire race.
Yeah.
And like I think this year's Cocodona will go down as like the year of the mud, like the mud
Yeah.
Cocodona year, because it was
I'm
like
seeing a lot of the race recaps talking
it was
about that.
crazy.
It's frustrating. It's
Yeah.
like trying to run into 40-mile-per-hour wind and you're like, I'm not going
And
anywhere.
and I felt like mentally I was dealing with like my sickness and the lack of nutrition and maybe me not being on top of my hydration as much. Like I was okay mentally with all of those things going wrong, but as soon as I started to hit the mud and it was like I literally could not run because this mud was stuck on my shoes. It was like that got to me. And like
Yeah.
that was the first time where I was like, this sucks.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you came into Fane Ranch. You guys were there at
Mhm.
Fane Ranch, right?
Mhm.
What was that scene like? Because now you've hit like mile 90,
Mhm.
right?
Around the 100-mile mark.
Yeah, or around 100 miles.
I
What
think
is
you did a short change there.
no sleep yet?
No.
Oh.
So you're totally sick, wet, running through mud. And
He
you-
did change at that aid, and then
So
you were there pretty. You
yeah,
were in
it was
and out,
it was
like,
quick.
pretty
I
quickly.
think they were like trying to get me to sleep, but my sleep plan was like, I'm not sleeping on night 1. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna keep moving.
Well, I always ask him, but
yeah.
if he doesn't want to sleep, I don't. Nothing's worse for you guys than like having to try and lay down and then you're just like with your eyes open.
I think a lot of people stop to sleep at Fane Ranch because, both Finn and Harry were ahead of me coming into Fane Ranch, and I don't know if they were sleeping. And right after I left Fane Ranch, there was more of the mud section. And I thought Harry was, he was in the front from the beginning. I was like, oh, I'm just probably never going to see Harry again.
Yeah.
And he comes cruising up behind me. I'm like, Harry, what are you doing here? And he's like, oh, hey, what's up? And we talked for a little bit, and then he dropped me again. But he went on, and it was just like the mud, and I just pretty much walked that entire section.
Yeah, because you're leaving Fane Ranch, you kind of like are still in the fields for a little bit, and then you're then
and then
climbing.
we get to Mingus. So at the base of Mingus. Yeah, so my sleep plan was I wasn't going to sleep night one unless I absolutely had to. I didn't take any caffeine on night one because I wanted to save the caffeine for later in the race.
And your strategy was not taking any caffeine for like a month before the race?
Yeah, I didn't have any coffee, no caffeine for an entire month before the race, so that like it's a very effective and powerful tool for me during the race. So when we got to me and my pacer, Spooky Lukey, we get to the base of Mingus, and my eyes, like I'm just like starting to hike uphill, and my eyes are doing this like, when you're kind of drowsy driving, your eyes are like kind of shaking and fluttering, and I like couldn't focus, and I was like, hey, this is probably a good time for me to just like lay down and try to get 5 minutes. So I had him set a timer for 5 minutes, and I laid down on the ground in the rain. And
that's crazy. Did you fall immediately?
No.
Asleep?
So I laid there for 5 minutes, was unsuccessful, got back up. We probably moved for another like 2 or 3 minutes, and I was like, I'm going to try again, set another 5-minute timer. So I laid down again, and I probably was unconscious for 3 minutes. And then I woke up, and it was like
amazing.
Yeah, it was.
Isn't that crazy?
It was the weird little reset.
Rest? Yeah.
So it was the little reset that I needed, and then we continued on up Mount Mingus throughout the night, and then it was morning by the time we got to the Mount Mingus aid station, and that was all the sleep I got for the entire race.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just because you couldn't shut off, or like because you were so good about not doing caffeine. Now caffeine was like
so by night 2, once I started, like I drank a Red Bull and started taking those caffeine pills, I was feeling fantastic.
Isn't it amazing?
I was so wired. Night 2 I was going. Yeah.
That's amazing. Now
but I wouldn't recommend that to most people. I do really well on very little to no sleep. So and going back to what I experienced at Moab, I just kind of knew that I didn't really need the sleep at Moab for my mind as much as I needed it for my, like it was at Moab. I had to stop to give my legs a rest, and it was like, I'm just gonna sit here and rest my legs. Like I might as well sleep. But I didn't really ever feel like I've never hallucinated. Like I wasn't really feeling like super drowsy. So at Cocodona, I was like, I'm just gonna try to sleep as little as possible. So it was just that 3 minutes on night 1, and then it was about an hour right before I dropped that I slept, which I'm not really even counting because it was over at that point. But
mile 100, he did come in, and that's where his feet were swollen.
Okay, that's where it started.
And I had the medic check on his legs, and they thought it was like tendonitis and overuse and just the heaviness from the mud. So we had laid him down for 45 minutes, but he didn't sleep. Like he was iced and his feet were elevated, and that was like the first instance with the leg swelling. And then that's when you got the...
That was at mile 160 at that camp right before the no pacer section.
Oh, yeah, whatever mile
But
it was.
At around
one
mile...
something.
Yeah.
At mile 100, I was running... who was I with? I was with Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the section where you're kind of like going into Sedona. It's a really beautiful, like
the red dirt.
Single track, very open, scenic, beautiful.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So we were going through that, and I was running. I was moving decently well, and I felt like this like tightness kind of popping up in my shins. And
both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, it just started with one, and I in my head I'm like, am I getting shin splints for the first time ever in my life? Like, I have tightness in my shins. Is this what shin splints feels like? And I was like, Andrew, can you like feel my shins? Are they tight? And he was like, oh yeah, they're like rocks. And I was like, Oh, this is weird.
We put like a muscle salve on him.
So that
I
was
do
at mile
remember.
60?
No, that was at mile 100.
100.
So that's
160 is when
okay.
he was really swollen.
So,
So
100.
that was when it first started like to pop up and I felt it. And then I just kept running through it for another 50 or 60 miles. And then by the time I came
That's
into
when it was
that
swollen.
160-mile aid station, so yeah, it got really bad. Like the climb out of Sedona, it would like there were times where like I could not get over these rocks. I just like could not move. I was like,
Yeah, there was one section that was like
very
you were-
rocky, and it was scrambling.
The medic at that by 160 when they came in, he was like, if you don't ice it now, like like let's get ahead of it.
Yeah.
If you can get him to sit here for 45 minutes and eat and sleep. He didn't sleep, but he was able to get noodles and chili down.
I was already zooming off caffeine. So when
Yeah.
they sat,
Yeah.
how long was I there for? 20, 30 minutes?
I think that was your first Red Bull was at 160.
No, it was in Sedona.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, we iced
it's
him, and then
actually even before that.
it really helped. It really helped.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, oh, okay, I'm back, and then
But then leaving that aid station, there was more mud. It was like another 10-mile
Yeah,
section
tell
of
us
mud.
about that. Like, because I mean, at home we're watching, and we're just seeing a lot of people coming to the aid stations, just so much mud,
Yeah.
and they're wet.
our van was
and-
full of mud. We
Oh my
couldn't.
God, the van was
because
a
the-
For
disaster.
crews are you at these races? I know Eddie's experienced it. Cocodona is one of the funnest to crew.
Yeah,
because you can see your runner the most out of any 200 that I know about.
Mhm.
And then you start to create like these hangout pods with
Mhm.
other crews.
because
and
you're
like,
around the same.
but
runners.
you're also in rad places. Like you get to like you
Jerome was so sick.
Jerome is awesome.
Yeah.
Prescott's like you just
Yeah.
are all in these places and you're like hanging out outside of your cars. But what we're seeing is everyone's just inside their car.
And our feet are
Like-
muddy because we have to get
and your
in and
feet-
out of the
yeah.
car, and then everyone's in the car. There's mud everywhere. He's full of mud. We're full of
Yeah.
mud. We're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it
This
was
is a
it was
lot.
pretty brutal for everyone. But as the mud started piling up, I mean, so we're looking at mile 160 now, where it's like
Mhm.
really, really bad.
Yeah, that section, well, I mean, it was the same. Those really like loose, powdery dirt roads that are up there in the mountains,
Yes.
as soon as there's just a little bit of
It's
moisture,
like clay.
like it turns into this just sticky, like almost like Play-Doh clay that
Yeah.
just like, and even if you want to get it off of your shoes, like you scrape it on a rock, it just like doesn't even come off.
yeah, and then it's like as soon as you put your foot down,
There's
you're
more.
There's no
back in
point,
there.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
Did you have
props.
to get your poles out? Like, what were you guys trying to do to move?
No, I
I'm so
was just,
curious what people were doing in those situations. 'Cause
yeah, it was just, I was just had to walk, you know, and
shuffling.
like
Walking.
props to Dan Green and Ryan Sands. Like, I don't know how those dudes ran through that stuff, but I'm sure they did.
Well, you were saying, I think Mackenzie, you were saying earlier that there's this line on the storm
Yeah, I
where
feel
some
like
people were.
everybody
the
had it
guys
in the
way
beginning.
up front were probably like just ahead of it.
I don't know. I
And
think they
then-
still dealt with quite a bit of mud.
Yeah,
for
no,
sure
for
did.
sure,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
But you know how the trail just gets worse and worse. Like I mean, within
especially
minutes,
as more
and
people run
saturated.
on it.
That too, yeah.
Yeah.
But you were always. I mean, there wasn't very many people ever in front of you, so you guys were kind of traversing. I can't imagine what it was like back a pack, middle pack, when the
Oh.
mud is being dug up
Yeah.
more and more.
Well, and the
more on a
rain was like
trail.
just worse and worse. As further you got back in
Yeah.
the pack, the rain was like we
Yeah.
would get to the aid, there would be no rain.
yeah.
And then by the time Max came in, the rain came with Max. It was
Yeah.
like we would beat the storm,
The
and then
storm
he
just
would bring
followed us
he would
the
just
whole
well,
way.
bring
we
the
just
storm.
big props. We just commend everybody that did that race. I
Yeah.
mean, that's so.
Yeah,
brutal to
everybody
have
won
to
that
work
race.
through
That was
Yeah.
like a
Everyone was
that
a winner.
Crazy.
Yeah,
It was
so
insane.
bad.
Bond Charge is a holistic wellness brand with a huge range of evidence-based products to optimize your life in every way. Founded on science and inspired by nature, all Bond Charge products adopt ancestral ways of living in our modern-day world. Their extensive range of premium wellness products help you sleep better, perform better, have more energy, recover faster, reduce inflammation. The list is endless. Our favorite product from Bond Charge is their infrared sauna blanket. If you're looking to ease stress and unwind, the sauna blanket can do just that. The infrared heat and your elevated heart rate, all while relaxing, releases endorphins, which can leave you feeling euphoric after your session. It takes less than a minute to set up, heats up quickly, and you'll feel revitalized and less stress after sessions. And they offer free shipping on every sauna blanket, no hidden costs. Go to boncharge.com and use coupon code SALLY to save 15%. That's BONCHARGE.com and use coupon code SALLY to save 15%.
So mile 160, we know that the legs are definitely an issue. How's your breathing? How are you
Still wasn't good. I
through?
mean, I want to say like I was feeling better, and maybe that was just me mentally like telling myself like
And the
I'm
caffeine.
breathing better, or like the caffeine, or
being forced to slow down?
or being forced to slow down, and but yeah, I was trying to tell myself it was better. Like I wasn't coughing up as much mucus, but like my voice, I lost my voice, so I couldn't talk. Like I was whispering to my pacers and my crew because I just literally had no voice, and then just from coughing so much, like my throat got more and more sore. Like I don't know if
And all these variables you're having to work through on top of just trying to go the distance.
Yeah. So yeah, I was just moving like really slow, and then by that point, by around mile 180, 200, it started to I started to finally see sun, and that was like on day 3. So the aid station that we
You
saw
started
Jesse,
moving after that one.
Yeah.
Before you got into the last aid station, you were moving,
Yeah.
and then you
Yeah.
just blew up.
So yeah, and my shins were just progressively getting worse and worse, and I'd come into these aid stations, with my friend Billy. I came into this one aid station, and I was like just stuffing ice in my socks because
They feel hot.
hot, and like pins and needles, and just swelling. I mean, it looked like there were baseballs like under my socks. Like I just had like lumps on the front of my shins, and it was clear that like something was wrong. And yeah, just like tender to the touch. Like when I would like squeeze my shin and move my foot, it almost made like a creaking sound.
Oh my goodness.
So it was some serious inflammation and pain. And
this was just built up over time. Like you don't remember. It wasn't like you went through something that cut you,
yeah.
or this
I mean,
reaction
I don't
to
know.
something.
And
It can happen from so much stuff.
Yeah,
the doctor was like, there's kind of no way to know.
When I went into the hospital, they said it was a cellulitis infection, which I do have a lot of symptoms of cellulitis, and that could have just been from my feet and legs being covered in mud, being wet the whole time, wet socks. Like, did I get cut by something? Like a little scratch could have.
Which normally he would maybe be able to fight off, but being sick and then already,
200 miles.
being overworked by mile 200
My immune
after
system
being
was just
sick, like there
compromised.
was nothing left to
Yeah.
clear that infection out.
So you got all right. We jumped ahead. So now we know that you went to the hospital.
Yeah.
Like
Sorry.
how did that? No, it's fine because that's pretty serious.
Yeah.
And I'd say even especially coming from you, Max, who probably would never ever think in a million years that's how a race is going to end for you. You push through so much, but I can't imagine what that felt like, even just looking down and seeing your ankles like that. I think as athletes, competitive athletes, we always tell ourselves, well, I'm almost to the end. Like, I know I can get to the finish line. I know that I can endure this. Or we convince ourselves that like, I'll take care of it as soon as I finish. Right. And you are really moving through the race at this point. I mean, you've now run over 200 miles, which if the race was only 200 miles, you would easily top 10, would have gotten that buckle. And so, I know the 200-mile distance is like, it's funny because some of them are 210, 220, 250, like 240. And so, you are not even 20 miles from the finish, right? Like this is a hard call.
Yeah. And
a really hard call. So what?
I'll walk you through.
Yeah, walk us through what happened.
So, by mile 200, 210, at this point, my shins are like, every step felt like 10 out of 10 pain. And, there was, I was, after leaving Fort Tuttle, there was you're in Flagstaff. It's a very runnable section. I think I'm in like eighth, maybe seventh or eighth.
I don't know.
Place, and
I was like not paying attention to that.
I checked the tracker, and I got Michael McKnight and another, maybe it was Cody, just like right behind me. Or
maybe been
Matt, maybe.
No,
or Finn.
No, Finn was already ahead of me. Finn had passed me. But there were two. There were two guys that were right behind me, and I saw on the tracker, and I was like, oh, they're like catching up to me, and like the tracker was kind of doing weird stuff, so I didn't really know exactly how far back they were, but there was like in that Flagstaff area in the afternoon, I was like running. Like I probably ran some of my fastest splits of the entire race after leaving Fort Tuttle. Like I was clocking 10, 11-minute miles. Like I was
Wow.
gunning. And I
Yeah.
came into the third to last aid station, and I thought these guys were just right behind me. So I didn't even stop. I just like refilled bottles and kept going. And there was that last section that I ran coming into.
You took a pacer too at that
Yeah, I
point.
took Luke with me. It was like maybe a 7-mile section going into Foxborough.
Wait, this is out of Fort Tuthill?
What's the
Wild.
When you left Fort Tuthill, isn't that where the medical
Yes.
examines
And
you?
so
Yeah.
what's the
This-
one
they
before
ask you the
Wildcat?
questions?
There's
I can't
Foxborough.
remember that one, but I
Foxborough or
am.
Wildcat or
It
something.
is
Whatever.
surprising to me that they let you go at Fort Tuthill. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's the one where they're like, "Hey, we're
Well,
gonna examine
I was like
you and
weird.
ask
I
you
was like
questions."
weirdly like in good spirits.
Oh,
Like
okay.
I mean, my
you had
my
in and out there, right?
yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
He
I
got
was
in
like-
and out. His feet were elevated. We iced him. We deboogered. He
Yeah.
was like
Mhm.
actually okay.
And was your thought just like, he's got 50 miles, we can do this, we can push through?
Yeah,
he
because
feels
he
good.
didn't seem to
Yeah.
me like he ate. He said he was okay. We gave him
Yeah.
what he needed. His feet
Yeah.
had been iced again. And again, the ice kept helping. But after that aid station, me and Bill and the crew went and got some compression socks because we didn't have any. And I was like, maybe he'll put these on at the next
I
aid.
couldn't even get those
And
things
he
on.
blew through the next aid. He didn't
Oh,
even
yeah.
change his shoes. So
Oh, okay. You're trying to.
So that last 7 miles,
Pace.
I was like very much racing, and I ran hard for 20 something miles, like until.
And how did that feel? Were you just in pain the whole time?
Yeah, it was like it took everything in me to just like keep moving, especially at like the fastest speed I'd been moving the entire race. So maybe that's just like what finally
Yeah.
blew
Who was
blew
with
my
you? Was
legs
it
up.
Nico? Was Nico with you at this point?
No, Nico was with me in like kind of before Sedona, so that was
Okay.
like mile 120, 130 that he was. With
Luke
me.
was with him.
Oh,
So
Luke?
But my friend,
okay.
yeah, Spooky Lukey.
Bill
So
and then Luke, yeah.
so I come into that last aid station. It was either Foxborough or
Whatever before Wildcat.
I'm like I
Yeah,
didn't
I
even know
can't
any of the aid
remember either.
stations.
I was going to ask Eddie.
So
and he's
it's
gonna be
right,
like, I
it's
don't know.
right before Eldon, and
Okay, yes. Yeah.
I came in and I was like, I cannot run anymore. I walked into that aid station. I was
On
like,
his poles, like crutching on his poles.
yeah, and I get in the car and they had me lay down, which once I went horizontal, like that was a wrap. And I
iced his feet too.
yeah,
So
mentally.
you laid down and were you just in excruciating pain?
Yes,
at
but
that point?
mentally, I was like telling the next pacer, I was like, "Hey, we're going up Eldon, so just
Wow.
He
get
was
ready."
to go.
I was like, "Get
Wow.
ready, because I'm gonna try to sleep here for a little bit, and like hopefully my shins feel better."
Yeah.
Which they just didn't.
And this is like mile 237.
Yeah, and right before I had gone to sleep, like Michael Versteeg was at the van, Jeff Browning was at the van, like the crew was at the van, she was there, and everyone seemed like very concerned. And that's when I like kind of saw that like everyone around me was scared, and I was like that, and then it kind of like made me scared, like, oh, like Michael Versteeg saying, I overhear him say like,
Yeah.
I've never seen
Feet
feet
like
or
this.
ankles look this bad on anyone ever in any race that I've ever
Oh,
been.
so shoes and socks are off.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was fully being iced.
I mean,
like
my-
I had ice on his legs. Like he was in the anti-gravity chair with his feet up.
Oh my God. And what were you thinking? Was this
Well, I
just
locked
like
him in
a-
the van, and then of course there's like
We had-
so many people in my ear, which
And-
is
Yes.
great. Thank God everyone gives me advice and has a lot to say, but it was also like I know he
overwhelming.
wants to finish this race. It is very overwhelming, and like
yeah.
I
And we
know
had to have a
him.
conversation.
You
and-
do.
Yeah.
Eddie and I, we've had to do that too.
And
And
you
we're
know,
like, close the door.
Mike
we need
gave,
to talk.
Mike gave great advice. He was like, you know what, he could always sleep and he could run to the base of Eldon, and if he feels good enough, like then either you pick him up or he keeps going,
But
or whatever.
at that point, it's like, am I about to go up and over Eldon, like one of the most technical parts of the entire race, and at night, and like, not only am I at this point putting my own life at risk, but like if I get stuck up there, like who's gonna have to come
Yeah.
And then you
help
have a
me and
pacer with
save
you
me?
and-
Yeah, it's like what am I doing at this point? Am I just like trying to like get a finish to feed my ego to prove that what I'm tough? Like I already just did the toughest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
It's like
That's a
as
good
much as
point.
I like hate to have like quit a race, it's like I still feel like mentally I didn't quit. It's just like my body gave up on me. And after waking up, I just could not stand up. I could not bear weight on my feet anymore. Like after I laid down, the swelling got even more, and it was just like, if I can't even stand up, I can't walk. So it's like it's over at that point.
Were you afraid? Like, did that start scaring you when you looked down at your feet?
At that point, we hadn't decided that he wasn't going to keep going. Like, he hadn't made that decision yet. What had happened was he woke up from the 45-minute nap and was in so much pain. And I was like, listen, you have a very long career ahead of you.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot of things on the agenda. You have a lot of things that you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Top 10 is out of the window. Let's not, like, who gives a shit, first of all, about top 10? Like, let's move on, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If you want to cross the finish line, let's walk it in tomorrow morning. And in my mind, I'm like, we're going to sleep for 5 hours and it's going to trend one way or the other.
Yeah.
And in the morning, a decision will be made. I didn't want him to feel like he had to make a decision right then and there. I wanted him to be able to like sleep and decide and make that for himself with the advice of the people around him, with Mike and Jeff and myself and whoever else is there. But ultimately, it has to be his decision.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's sleep for 5 hours, which like he would have never done in that race.
Yeah.
So
it took me 5 days to sleep 5 hours. Like,
so I was like, oh, we're just gonna rest until the sun rises, and then you can summit Eldon. The crew will come back, and that will be the decision. And so him and I slept in the van. Everyone else went back to the hotel. And by 3:30 that morning, we hadn't really slept, and he was like, "You need to take me to the hospital."
How much time had passed?
Like 3 hours at that point.
So, and it was it just kind of like achy, groaning, like wanting to fall asleep, or were you just uncomfortable the whole time?
I don't even really remember. It was just discomfort.
It was like in and out of like coughing and rolling around and the heater on. We're both on this tiny air mattress, and I'm like wide awake, like trying to make sure that like nothing serious is going on, because at that point his shins had also started to like change in color, and that's where my worry came in. That's why I had the medic come in. That's where my brain was like, something's not right. And I know that in the morning, this is not going to trend better, but I wanted to give him that hope in case
it was just
that was the choice.
It was clear that things were just getting worse, but
he couldn't stand up. He didn't walk for 2 days after. Like he could not stand up.
So we went straight to the hospital. Yeah, it was
How did that? Who made that? Were you just like, all right?
He said that.
I was like, just take me to the hospital.
Well, I banged on Matt Shapiro's van, and I was like, hey, I need your help getting him into the front seat, because he was asleep in the back of the van on the air mattress, and he couldn't stand up. He's like, just leave me here. Mm-hmm. So I left him in the back of the van and drove with him like on the air mattress, and like Matt dealt with whatever I had left there.
Yeah, we pulled up to the hospital, and they pulled me out of like off the air mattress in the van, like straight into a wheelchair.
Oh my gosh, what a sight. Yeah. What a sight to see. And so then you guys went straight in to see a doctor. Mm-hmm. Was that the emergency room? You guys just go straight in the emergency room?
Yeah, they were amazing. That medical staff was really sweet.
And what's the diagnosis? What were they telling you? How was that? I mean, what a weird experience for you.
Yeah.
Like 24 hours before that, you were in the mud working up a mountain.
I had multiple things going on with me. I had like a significant amount of fluid in my lungs, which was like pretty apparent just from coughing and not being able to breathe. They tested me for like my rhabdo levels, which I
would say any of you crossing the finish line have some level of rhabdo happening.
So I mean,
your levels were like quadruple.
Oh no, they were like 30 times more than the rhabdo level. He said the average
person with rhabdo is like 500 to 800, if I remember correctly, and his was at 16,000.
Yeah, that's...
So it was significant. But I don't know if I was really like I didn't really
if that was
feel the symptoms of rhabdo. It was more so like my upper respiratory, like the breathing, and then this swelling and pain that was in my ankles. And like, was everything like, was it all connected? Like, did the sickness and everything compound on each other, and like everything?
Well, yeah, it was cellulitis in his legs. So
so I had a cellulitis infection. Yeah, I had a cellulitis infection, rhabdo, fluid in my lungs, a swollen
enlarged heart,
and a swollen liver.
I don't know about your liver. Well, your liver he was everything was just a little overworked.
I don't even know. But yeah, there was all kinds of things wrong with me. So
Some of our listeners are like, I'm never doing a 200 after hearing
well,
this.
just like
but
don't do it when you're sick.
yeah,
That's
it sounds like the system was
yeah.
completely stressed out. Can you help for our listeners, like kind of break down what cellulitis
Yeah, so
is?
cellulitis is a skin infection. So that's what was causing like the swelling
The
and the
pain, nerve
discoloration and the pain in my shins, which today I'm still dealing with
Yeah.
it. I still can't
It
run.
can take like over 2 weeks just to clear out of your body.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So how
It's a
many weeks
long-
are we post?
We're 2
Cocodona?
today.
15
Literally, like,
days.
2.
15 days today.
Yeah.
Now, I saw you when you guys got home. I think it was the next day or
Yeah.
the day you got home or something.
I mean, I didn't even
And
get
you
upstairs at
couldn't
my house.
walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't.
He was on the couch
You
for
couldn't walk, and what I saw, I mean, you were really
he was
swollen.
peeing
Yeah.
in a jar. Like
Yeah,
he
and
couldn't
couldn't
even
even get
go
to
to
the
the
bathroom.
bathroom.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Mhm.
So we're 15 days out. How are you healing? How's healing been in the last 2 weeks for you? Just top to
It's
bottom.
been slow. Yeah, just really slow. I've never dealt with this type of recovery ever before. I mean, every race I've been able to at least run the next day, and
Yeah.
my run streak's over, which is like kind of bittersweet.
Okay, that is
Yeah.
bittersweet. Where
Yeah.
were you at with your run streak? What day were you on, or what week?
12. So I think the day that I dropped was day 1285. So
1285.
3.5 years.
Wow. Well,
without a single day off.
congratulations on an incredible
Yeah, I did it.
run streak.
Yeah.
Tell it, like, mentally, was that like the first day as the clock ticked by and you're like, wow, like
Yeah.
it's over now?
It's probably like a chain being broken. To be
Yeah,
honest.
it's been nice that I don't have like the streak weighing on me, which I mean, it was fun, but there's definitely days where you're like, it's not fun.
I did it too
Yeah.
for a year, and the way that I explained it to someone the other day was like, even if it's only a mile and it's only a 10-minute or 8-minute or whatever run, your brain never gets the break of not having to do that, which is
Yeah.
what builds the mental fortitude.
It's just like a responsibility that's always weighing on you. Like
Yeah.
every day, like
It's-
throughout your day,
it's a
you're like,
lot.
if I haven't ran yet, like I have to run at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
So-
we got home from Chamonix last year. Both of us are streaking, and it's like 9 p.m. and we're like,
We gotta
we're
run a
gonna
mile.
do a lap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just,
that's
it's kind of silly.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is silly.
It's
Yeah.
cool though.
Run
No,
streaks are silly. I mean,
I will-
I love them, but yeah, it is. a
I
silly
will
thing.
say it teaches you a lot. It's definitely a very cool thing to do. But I said I'm doing a year and then I'm done. I'm not
you know
doing
who's still
the whole-
streaking? Who's
Is
also
Hella.
a streaker? Well, Hella, but
yeah.
Dan Green, the winner of Cocodona.
Oh, I
He
didn't
ran
know
the
that
next
he
day.
was a streaker.
Yeah, he's a streaker. Yeah,
That's
since 2019.
And
I think?
my
Okay.
grandfather's cousin Eleanor is the only person I knew personally that had more than him, and she's an older woman and she runs every day. I'm
Yeah,
like,
she was like
Eleanor
a-
still got
Yeah.
Jace
she's,
on
yeah,
you.
she's got me beat.
Wow, this is a different
She
situation,
wins
and
the battle. Yeah.
I commend you for being healthy and wise about that, not feeling like you have to go pound on horrific cellulitis.
Yeah.
and
I mean, it
really
was
do
just
damage.
impossible to run. Like there was just no way.
Yeah,
Like,
like I said, when I saw you couldn't even stand
Yeah.
up. Like
It's
that
a nice
was
new way
crazy.
to approach running now. He gets to
It
like
is.
reframe it and decide how to move forward. It's like
Yeah.
a fresh start. It's kind of
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah,
a setback is just an opportunity for a comeback.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and that's kind of where I want to pivot with
Mhm.
you, Max. Just kind of talk about mindset after all that, because, like I said, I mean, as your friend, kind of got
Yeah.
I watched and witnessed a little bit your training and just really your dedication.
Yeah.
And I know that you care very much about your goals. Echoing what Mackenzie said, you do have a very long career ahead of you, especially because you actually still have a young, what we call a training age, in running.
Yeah,
so
I haven't been hitting
it's-
it hard for very long. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so you will continue to make improvements too, which is super exciting.
And,
It's
like,
like you still have growth. Like on top of already being like incredible at what you're doing, you still have like years where you'll still be developing and growing. So you've done a lot of great things in just a small amount of time. But I'd just love to hear you kind of speak, both from like how you're feeling personally, but even just from like people looking in.
Yeah.
Share with us what you've kind of been working through.
I mean, even just from the experience of Cocodona, like I mean, it's only my second 200. I've learned so many new things from Cocodona that like I didn't even like issues and problems that I worked through that I'd never experienced even at Moab. So it was like a whole new different set of challenges that I was able to overcome. And I guess Like, if you were to ask me about, like, DNFing or quitting a race, like, going into Cocodona, like, I probably would have expected myself to be, like, really bummed and disappointed and depressed on, like, not being able to finish because I, like, kind of prided myself in, like, just being tough and never giving up or never quitting. But after going through and experiencing just everything that happened to me, and I was able to like still push through for 238 miles
incredible.
of that race with everything that was going on. Like that was the biggest test of my spirit that I've ever been through. And I was able to, I mean, go further than I ever would have expected with all of those things going on. So
Yeah,
I'm
it's
honestly
amazing.
still proud of
You should
the
be.
performance I was able to put up, and I still did run a good race. Like I was down on day one, and I was just continuously like moving well, like despite everything that was going on, and like moving up in the ranks, and like
Yeah, you were always in the top 10. I mean, I
yeah by the
thought you were doing really well. So it was so
yeah
surprising when things fell apart and how far. I mean, you were so close to that finish line. But
yeah
to hear you sharing in this way, I think that's really encouraging for
Yeah, and just like the run streak being over, like all good things have to come to an end, like maybe I'll start a new one. I don't know, but yeah, I feel like overall I'm in really good spirits considering everything that happened, and just trying to focus on getting back to running because I can't run, and this is the first time in 3.5 years that I've ever not been able to run. So just try. I think the hardest part of the whole thing is just like being patient and just
Mhm.
giving my body
Yeah.
some time and a chance to recover. And I'm just waiting on this like pain in my shins to go away. It's been 15 days, and I'm definitely like, I mean, exponentially better than where I was at, 2
Yeah,
weeks
and like
ago.
Sally said earlier, you don't wanna start training at
70%.
70%,
Yeah,
80%. Like,
Yeah.
you wanna feel like you're ready to go and, like,
yeah,
you can give
and
your
I'm
training your all.
And I'm getting to the point where I'm doing everything that I can. Like I've started, I'm walking, a couple miles with the dogs.
Well, I saw you went to the Satisfy athlete
Oh
camp
yeah, I forgot
too.
about yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
So
get
what
to
was that
we were out in the
How
like?
sad he
Tetons.
didn't get to run in
I
the
know
Tetons. I
it
was
was
like,
such a
"Damn,
bummer.
those trails are the best." I
Yeah,
felt so bad for
beautiful
it
him.
was.
there.
I mean, it was awesome to be with all my teammates and see all my friends and hang with
You
everybody.
had
And
a
they were
bike?
yeah, an
Did you
electric bike.
bike?
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
kind of scooting around on the bike. But they were very accommodating for me and Mike, just both being post Cocodona. They had like a trailer sauna that was there, so I was saunaing every day. They made sure there was ice in the ice baths. Like we ate really good food, and
It looked really cool, the
yeah. By the
content they
time
put out.
when I went there, I didn't even know if I was going to be able to get on the airplane to go
Yeah.
there.
What was
So
like, just a week after Cocodona that you went?
I think it
Or
was
It was
yeah, I
it
think it
was
was
like
4
less than a
it
week.
was
days?
exactly a week.
Yeah, okay, so it was like the
I
Tuesday.
was like,
So
"Wear the compression socks. Put them on."
yeah, so I wore those on and like I was not moving well
Yeah.
getting to the airport, and by the time I left the ranch, I was like feeling like so much better. So it was a great
good.
opportunity for me to like do some rest and recovery and just hang out and
You got to hike a bit, didn't you?
yeah, I
You
hiked a little
walked.
bit, yeah, which was probably not smart
I
because
was
like
gonna say, did that
there
even
was
feel
snow.
good?
No, there was snow,
Yeah.
and on the downhill descent, like I felt like a baby deer coming down. Like I have no ankle mobility right now, so I was
Yeah.
like slipping and falling everywhere. Which I mean,
But I'm sure your heart was just like, "I just
oh
wanna be
yeah,
on a trail on these
yeah,
beautiful
Right?
mountains." Like,
yeah.
that must've been really rough.
So it was nice to be out there, but it still
Yeah.
sucked that I wasn't able to run
Yeah.
or anything. But
Yeah. What are you
um,
doing for training and recovering right now and just kinda building back how are you taking care of
yeah,
yourself?
I've been going to PT like a lot, like 2 to 3 times a week. Having Dr. G work on my legs and try to just like flush
Awesome.
this inflammation and swelling out of my legs. Yeah, like I said earlier, I've been walking the dogs. We did a workout in the gym, so my first workout back in the gym.
And that's
Just
like strength and
Yeah,
He
strength
did. He
lifting
was able to
weights.
push some weights today, which
Yeah,
was nice.
like
That is
I
good.
can deadlift as long as it's not like a lot of movement in
His
my
ankle,
ankle.
like,
Okay.
mobility
Yeah,
is
it's just like I have pain
we
when I
kinda rolled it out today too,
yeah.
but
Okay.
So, yeah, and just like doing the cold plunge at my house, trying to eat well, get protein in. I'm
A lot of rest and sleep.
yeah, I'm looking to hop on the bike, hopefully maybe this weekend, see how that feels. So just getting creative with doing whatever I can to just like keep the body moving. So I'm like not taking too many steps back. Like I don't want to just sit on my butt for a month.
It's weird. He's like home all the time. I'm like, shouldn't you be doing something?
You're not used to it.
Well, and I haven't been running either. I ran like 3 miles this week. I was like, we're staring at each other like, what's going on?
But I'm like, I'm close. I'm close to running again.
Yeah. Well,
So things are looking up.
Yeah, this experience for you, Mackenzie, what a wild ride just as a crew chief and pivoting, driving him to the hospital and now obviously
taking the tracker
taking
with
care
me
of him.
Did
you do that?
Yeah.
Oh man.
So everyone who was tracking the race saw that I was at the hospital and people were like,
oh shoot.
Yeah, people were like sent me messages like I think some people thought I actually finished because I was like so close to the finish line and like maybe the tracker ended up like giving me that mileage and it looked like I had finished. But
anyway,
that's funny.
But we've just been recovering. Same thing. I still had to recover from my marathon and get back into running and make sure he's on the mend. And it actually has been kind of nice, like both being home and like not having like a ton of stuff on the plate. And it's nice.
We're able to do laundry, like the house is clean, like the dishes are done.
If there is no run streak, it'll be nice because after the next race, maybe we have another down week. It's like kind of a lesson of like, oh,
yeah.
It is nice to like not do anything.
Yeah, that is
it's a big
really
learning
nice.
lesson for everyone. But I will say, I mean, in any of these races, like I had told you the last time I talked with you, was like you learn something different every time and the problem's going to be different every time. And this was a big set of learning lessons and the next one will be something different. But it's race by race, day by day.
Yeah. Well, it made for a great story.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so happy that you're okay and that you are getting better each and every day. I know that you're already looking forward to other events in this year. We saw that you're signed up for Mammoth 200.
Mm-hmm.
So fun.
Which is end of September, so that's still like really good.
That's a ways out. Like I'm confident I'll be in a good spot.
We love being in the Sierras too.
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Where are places that you guys are going to be this year as far as running events go? Do you have plans?
I really want to go to Western States this year.
States?
Yeah, just to go spectate. So
it's a great week just to be there.
Yeah.
Whether you're attached to a crew or
if there's any year to be there, this year is the year.
Just literally standing and watching.
Yeah.
AC 100.
Well,
if it's on.
Yeah, they say it's on, but there's. Who knows? I mean, there hasn't really been a lot of communication.
Did you sign up to run it?
Yeah, I'm on the entrance list. So
beginning of August?
August, the first week of August. So still kind of waiting to see whether that happens or not. I did just jump into Harding Hustle, which is now our Avipa race.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, Jamil took over Harding Hustle.
When I first, it's here. It was on Majeska Canyon. It's one of the first 50K.
Majeska Canyon. I mean, I was.
It's like straight up, straight down. It's like
a you don't need me for that.
It's up on Santiago. No, and like I don't.
It's been around for like 15. Well, it started like 15. 16 years ago.
It's been around for a long time. There's a 50K, I think a 15K, and like maybe a 30K.
Maybe me and Eddie will run the 50K.
There you go. You guys need to run it together. I've been trying to get Eddie to run a 50K for a long time. That would be so fun to like get content on that. That'd be hilarious.
So I don't know how good I'm going to be feeling for that, but
that one's in July.
June. I think
it's June.
June or July.
Okay.
I need to check, but that'll just be like, who knows if I'll. It'll be a build up to
It'll be a week call. Like we'll call it on that week.
We'll see where we're at.
Pop in there.
But it's Harding Hustle, AC, spectating at Western States, and then I think I'll be in Chamonix for UTMB, not racing, but just like out there.
We'll see you there.
And then Mammoth,
Yeah, this is a really good build up. So you getting better is like the most. That is
my main priority right now.
So you can endure and have fun at all those other events. Now, both of you guys do a lot of other things. I talked about that. I had you guys on individually. Max, I know that you have been with Hurley for like 12, 13 years, and that's like your full-time job.
Yeah.
You've recently released some wildly popular merchandise. You're an incredible designer, so it makes sense that your stuff sells so well. Well, sells out really fast. And then I know you're working on, you love doing content, so diving into that too. Mackenzie, you're like your run. Me and my Mackenzie went to your run club, my desk run club, which is so successful.
Yeah,
it was
fun.
the group
It's
you
been
had
a
was
good time.
incredible.
It's
and
popping off.
People are excited about it. You do a lot of really fun things, and like your marketing is like super cool.
Trying to get more events and things going, just to keep building the community. And
but you're a trainer, and like I know that you guys have dreams of doing a lot of other stuff together.
Hopefully getting the training out to the public at some point. It's a lot of work, but
we're cooking something.
Yeah. I mean, I know Eddie and I have talked to you guys about that before. I mean, it's a dream for us. Like it took us a long time. Like we were both teachers at the same time, and then we were doing
it's a scary leap
stuff
to leave security and stability
and that was Eddie's thing. Was like he's like, I've got our health insurance covered, our medical, like our benefits. Like you're asking me just to like pop into this contracting business with no reliability, and
scary.
It is scary. It's a big leap, but it's like
I've kind of been this way my whole life in terms of like, it's just kind of always going to work out. I think it's like a faith thing of like, I don't like, it's scary and can be stressful, but I'm always like, it'll get to that point. Like there's no doubt in my mind that both of us will quit our jobs at some point. Like I don't have any like, oh, that's never going to happen. That doesn't cross my mind. I don't even put that into the universe. Like I think that it's just strategic and smart steps for us to get to that point. So
what's the most exciting thing that you guys talk about that you'd like to do together? I know you guys are talking about like, hey, if we could leave full-time jobs.
To be honest, I'd like to just be able to go stay in the mountains for like a week at a time and like take the dogs and be on the trails and like allow him to train at elevation. We love doing that. It's just hard to like get out for 4 or 5 days at a time when we both have jobs and people that depend on us. So
absolutely. Yeah. You guys want to adventure in the mountains.
We just want freedom,
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of times a lot of times I just feel like I'm stuck in a lot of ways, you know.
Yeah.
With job and, you know, training and just like everything. It's like I could never just get away and go for 2 weeks somewhere. I mean, I could, but there's just like so much like stuff.
I know that a lot of people listening are sometimes feel that way too.
Yeah.
We have a lot of listeners who, you know, they have families, they work full-time jobs, and in the back of their mind, they have these dreams that are like, it's not unrealistic because they don't believe that they could actually physically do it. It feels unrealistic because they have these responsibilities and these bills to pay.
Yeah,
it's
scary.
That's like never for me.
Super
it is scary. And so, I think it'll be really cool as you guys start to build towards that, just to, you know, document that, allow us to.
Consistency is a big part of our day-to-day for both of us, just in the jobs that we have and his training and all of those things. And like I said, he's very good at balancing these things. And I think in the end, it will pay off. There's been so much hard work, especially on his end. So I think at some point it will just like, it will all click in, and that's what we're working towards. I think that it does pay off. It's just sometimes it doesn't happen overnight. That's not.
It doesn't, and there's risk.
You know, there's major risk.
There's a lot of risks you're taking, but in your mind, what do you think you need in order to like take that step? And no, I love these conversations so much. Eddie and I had to have these so often.
Yeah.
But because we spent years, when I was trying to build a business and I was really trying to go after being a professional runner, I realized like this is rough because our kids were little and we like
had
school debt.
A whole nother part.
Yeah, we had debt. We had school debt, credit card debt. We had many months where we were in the red and sometimes looking at each other like I don't know if we're gonna be able to pay rent. And so then it was like totally relying on him, right? Well, I was like wildly trying to like create something. We look back and we're like, that was hard. And I think that, you know, definitely having moments where it was like, I just need to go back and get an office job, or I need to go back and get like that full-time job, you know? And
but
I
then
know
that takes up so much of your time.
It does. And so I think, and Max, I know we've had this conversation many times. I'm like, I'm a big believer in creating your own stuff, like creating something that you can own and building something that you're passionate, you believe in, that you can do for the rest of your life. And sometimes that means you are working full-time, maybe at that job that you're not passionate about, while you work tirelessly. You are tireless.
That's kind of where we're at.
You're choosing. So
we're grinding right now.
The risk is I will be exhausted. And that's what it was for me. I was like, okay, I'm going to pick up lots of clients that I'm going to coach while trying to train like this, while trying to do this. And I'm just choosing to be exhausted for these
Right.
years so
Yeah.
that I can do what I want, what I really hope and dream to do. But you guys already have a lot of things that you are building and that you
I
own.
think it's just a matter now of like
know?
kind of nailing down what it is that we want to move towards and like what the two main goals are, and like also how we can work together as a team, because that's a big part of it. That's the household. So it's like, yeah, I have my individual stuff, and yes, he has his racing career, but like, what can we do together that will like get us to that point of freedom? And so that's kind of been
there could be a
like,
business opportunity in there too.
yeah. So
Absolutely.
that's where we're kind of like trying to nail that down, and that be very specific and very niche and very like, this is us, and then putting that into action, which is, we kind of are at that point. It's just going to be a big grind for the next 6 months to a year or whatever it takes.
Yeah.
But I have that faith and that like little bit of delusion in my brain of like, it's going to be fine. Like,
I think I'm a little bit opposite.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm so,
afraid
like,
everything's
nothing's
going to come crashing
Yeah,
down
I'm
and we're
like-
going to lose it all.
I'm like, nothing's that serious. Like, it's fine. Like, well, you know what? I've always believed in him and his brand and his being. And I think that that's a big part of like where my brain is. I'm like, well, this is something. And if I can help elevate that, or like we can be a team and put something
Team.
out there, it's
Yeah.
like,
Very much a team.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I feel
all
like
we can ask for.
Eddie was like that. He felt like I'm, the head of the household. Like he feels like
Being a man
he's
is a different responsibility.
taking care of his family.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, I totally understand why you feel that way, Max. And I think, but anyone, even if there's like a college kid listening right now that's trying to figure out what they're going to do after college and they don't know what they're going to do after college, I think there's an element of like faith and risk and courage that goes into really living the life
and
that
working
you love.
very hard.
And as
Yeah.
long as you work hard, you will succeed.
Yeah.
In whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, you just got to put in the work.
It is. I think it was actually Matt Shapiro we were talking about this. Like, as a contractor, sometimes you take jobs because it's going to pay for something else that you like are really passionate
Yeah.
about. So sometimes
Yeah.
it is like doing this like brand agreement that you're
It
not
might not be
stoked
as
about.
fun.
That's like
Yeah.
cheesy or
Yeah.
like, where they like completely control every part of it. And then you're like, yeah, but that's going to help pay for like, for me to like create this and
It's
do
investing
this.
in
And
yourself. Yeah.
yeah, so there's wisdom in
Right.
all of that. You're making decisions based on, here's the big goal. There's a lot of like crappy stuff I need to do in order to get there, but there will come a day where that like you'll be doing the stuff you love way more
Yeah.
than like the hard grindy stuff.
Yeah.
But it takes time. I mean,
Yeah.
I started my business in 2007. Here it is 2025, and like it was a lot of really hard years. And, I took Mackenzie out to the desert, out to Mount Whitney. We're working on this full-blown passion project right now. It's a film. And I realized I told her this because I want my kids to know this too, that you can create the life that you love, but it's a lot of hard work and it's a lot of like, you're going to do a lot of
Failure,
stuff.
too.
I've had so much
Yeah.
failure. I mean, a lot. And I think, and then also like doing without, I think the way that I was raised, like I didn't grow up like having a lot growing up, but I'm so grateful for that because it's shown me that I can get you can get through like life with very little, right?
Well, we're both on that mindset of like what's important. Like
what's important.
I don't need to go
What do you
shopping. I don't
actually
need all this stuff. Like
Yes.
I need to pay off the debt and I need to do this.
Yes.
And then what's in front of me is far more important than me having like the hottest handbag or whatever. That's not where I'm placing my values
pants.
at this moment.
She loves buying
At
pants.
this
So do I.
moment,
I
at
like
this
overalls.
moment, what's important is like that future. And like, yeah, we're 33, 34. Maybe I'm a little delayed
I'm 33.
in terms
Yeah.
What are you
of
talking
like,
about? I'm not
whatever.
34. I'm
Oh,
33.
yeah,
You're
I'm
32.
32.
She just put us a year.
Anyway,
Hey.
anyway, I
Blends
think
together.
like there are some people that figure it out sooner, but we've just gotten to this point where it is what it is. It's
Yeah.
never too late. It's never too
It's
early.
never too late.
Like
Yeah.
you have to put the work in and you have to
Mhm.
nail down what it is you want. And sometimes you can't figure that out at 17. So just
Yeah.
work
Mhm.
hard until you kind of find your way.
Yeah.
Just gotta
yeah.
grind.
You
Yeah.
do. If you keep, I mean, there's some super cool, I wish I had the list in front of me. I have a list of all of these like very successful business people who started doing stuff in their 40s, 50s, and 60s.
Yeah, it's so sick.
And it's incredible. And so it really comes down to your mindset. If
Sure.
like you can listen to what society says that there's a time limit on you or like you're only good for these years and then like that's it. But or you can actually just like live your own life, write your own story and believe that every day has purpose and every day you can build something.
You got to get away from
And it's never too late.
It's never too late.
outside noise and being worried about, oh, should I post this or like who cares? Who cares?
Yeah.
Nothing is that serious.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Go.
Like I want to share what I want to share and this is going to be our life and our business and whatever. If that's what we want to do, we're going to follow it. And I think that also just being yourself and like not being worried about that, being authentic is the biggest thing.
Absolutely. Which both of you guys are really great at doing. Now, for on a lighter note, how would that be for you guys being around each other 24/7? Because again, we also have a lot of families that listen. I don't think everyone can work together. That's the thing. I don't think every
we get along. Yeah.
We really do get along.
That's awesome.
We
You're
do
friends.
A lot of things.
So you guys are friends.
We
I think
enjoy being around each other.
Yeah.
But I also think like once there is a business, you need to have designated roles.
Yeah.
Sally does this, Eddie does this,
Yeah.
Mackenzie
We had
does
to
this,
figure that
Max
out.
does this.
Yeah.
And I think that moving forward, once there is stuff in order, like here's who handles this part, here's who handles this part. I think that makes things a lot easier when you have like a definitive here's
you have your own responsibility.
Yeah. And then your lines don't get jumbled of like, well, this didn't get done. Well, that's your fault. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So who's the spreadsheet person between the two of you?
No, that part hasn't started. Probably not me.
Yeah, probably
Not
more
me.
so me.
Yeah,
but
not me.
Yeah, I'm definitely more organized for sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of
That's so funny.
You should see her car.
I'm
like a bomb went
my
off
head.
there. Yeah.
No, well, he was gone last week. After Run Club, I drove home.
When I was in Wyoming.
After Run Club, I saw you guys. I drove home and
Yeah.
I got out of my car. And the next morning, I drove him to the airport.
Lost her keys for 5 days, so
didn't
she
know
just
where
drove my car while I was gone.
keys were. And he came home, and I was like, "Shoot, I should probably find my keys. I don't like they were somewhere. I knew they were at the house, but like
so
that, I'm
funny.
so like whatever. It's
Just
fine.
didn't even care to look for him. Was just like, oh, I'll just.
And
drive
he's
this
like,
car. Yeah.
him and my sister are like, your keys have been missing for how long?
Yeah. That is
Like,
so...
how do you not?
That'd give me a panic attack not knowing where my keys were for
please.
1 day. Yeah.
But like, what's the outcome of them not being there?
Where were they?
It's not that they were in the car, like in my running belt that had fallen down the crack or whatever. I don't know, Sally. It's kind of like
You're right, though.
You know?
So that's all stuff that you iron out beforehand. That is definitely stuff that's actually how Eddie agreed to come on board. I was like, there's a whole department of stuff that I'll never be able to do because I don't have the skills
I know
you have.
I know my strong suit.
Yeah.
And,
me too.
that's kind of just
Like, I don't touch finances. I don't touch spreadsheets. Like, my calendar, everything. Every day he's like, Sally, you have this, this, and this, and this. Or I'll just, like, make plans. He's like, you have 2 meetings during that time.
It would be so.
Look at his face. I wish he was on camera right now. Like, the poor guy.
It would be.
He's nodding his head.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah.
I think at some point, if I didn't have to deal with like, I don't want to look at my bank account. I don't want to have to put my registration on my car. Like, I'll do everything else.
Oh, yeah. I don't do any of that either.
I was out for like a year. I was like, whatever.
No. He drove with an expired registration for over a year. Didn't do her registration for 2 years. Somehow didn't get a single ticket.
Yeah, that's
I'm like blown away.
crazy. That's crazy. You didn't get a
but
ticket.
these are things like that. Actually, that's actually not something to brag about. That's like a very serious. Like, those are things that like I really need to get in order. But I'm just saying,
She's
like,
getting better.
that's his
Registration is current.
Wait
right
till you
now.
guys have kids. This
That's
is gonna be so
his.
much fun.
Well, that's what I'm like. That's
I can handle that stuff. Yeah.
that's on him.
Yeah. And
There's so many other things that I can do, and there's so much more that I bring to the table.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm not like the bookkeeper and the whatever, and that's
Yeah.
fine. Like, here's my.
But I think that is the beauty and the foundation of if you are working with your partner, that you do sit down and say, these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses. And when you're aware of that in each other, that you can also know where to come to be helpful. There's less frustration. Like,
I've
you
listened
know,
to
like, you're just like-
podcasts of like husband and wife that work together,
Yeah.
and that's like the one thing that I've always heard is like there just always needs to be, and that's in any partnership, that's in any business, in any
Clear
Yeah.
communication.
just knowing who's handling what is like very key. If everything's
Yes.
jumbled and you don't know who holds what responsibility,
Mhm.
and then at some point maybe we delegate to a team of people, but
Yeah.
you know, it would be nice to like only have to handle what I'm good at.
Yeah, exactly. And that's over the years, that's how it's become for Eddie and I. So he manages like 8 different contractors that we work with that I don't even talk to, you know? So it's like people helping produce the podcast. It's sponsorships for the podcast.
Eddie
it's
runs the
merch.
business.
Yeah. I mean,
Sally's
people
the
always,
face.
and he would never say that. So people are always like, what does Eddie do? I'm like, he makes sure that not everything falls apart every day. Cause I'm good. I'm like ideas creating all the time.
Yeah.
And so I think Eddie's the foundation. He's like the mountain on which I stand, like that I can actually do stuff because
he's very stable.
He's very stable. He's very consistent and strong communicator. So I mean, me going out in the mountains with Mackenzie this past week, I mean, like I can do that because I have Eddie as my partner, you know, and that's the joy when you get to build your stuff and you know, like, here's my strengths, here's my weaknesses, here's what you're good at. And it changes throughout the seasons too.
For sure. And it's important for everyone to know how every role works. Like you should be able to do it all, but then one person handles it. Like I would never not want to know that side of a business or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I don't want to
because we didn't
be
go
the
to
one
school
that's
for
managing.
business. Like
We didn't go to school, period, Sally.
Yeah.
So we're really winging it here.
But that's the beauty of today. And like you can learn stuff on YouTube.
Yeah.
You can, I mean, he legit like watches, like gets tutorials all the time for everything. Yeah, it's amazing. Like even picking up the camera or producing, like he's learned so much and is like really good at stuff because of.
He's very good at teaching himself too.
Yeah, you just figure it out. And sometimes that's what it is. Like you dive, like we've made a ton of mistakes just business wise. Or you work.
It's also never going to be perfect right away. It's probably going to be a little janky or a little all over the place, and you're going to make mistakes. But that's part of like anybody starting anything new is I think kind of working through those kinks, and you're like, oh, now I know in the future, you know, not to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. And we love talking about it. I mean, I was just talking to Harmony. So Dylan Bowman and Harmony, the same way. They're doing 101 different things. They got a little guy, they got a little toddler, you know, and she and I were just on the phone and I was like, I need to have you guys on the podcast to talk about that dynamic. It's more and more people. Now you can actually build your own business. You can do so much in today's age. You don't have to like go to college for 4 years and get that degree in order to get a good job. You can literally build the job that you love.
Great for them to like run a business and have a kid and like be present and have
and be present. That's
cool.
That's the joy that we had. I mean, our kids were freshmen in 7th grade when Eddie started doing that. And it's like you don't miss a sports event. You don't like you both plan their birthday parties together. Like that was wild. Yeah. Like we're like, oh wow, like we're both planning our kids' birthday parties.
That's
like,
freedom. That's freedom.
Yeah. So it'll be cool to keep up with you guys and watch you guys build that and grow this year. Where can people follow you? What are you guys building right now that we can kind of follow along and
my socials are just Max Max on Instagram, YouTube. Those are kind of like the two big ones that I'll be focusing on.
Where we can get your merch too.
Well, there's actually no merch available right now.
Okay,
so,
you just do drops. You do these epic designs.
Do you
have a summer one in mind yet?
Yeah, there might be some more stuff coming.
Okay.
So working on a couple things, but just keep an eye out on those two channels.
Yeah, I love your stuff. It's so good.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm really trying to lean into more YouTube content over the next year. Just exciting stuff that I'm doing. Try to do at least one piece of content for each thing. So just working on that. And then
I'm Mackenzie and Ross on Instagram and I kind of use TikTok, not really, but I think more like fitness. I look at TikTok a lot, but I haven't posted it. I'm always on and off. It's a lot of work to like be super consistent on that. But in terms of like just working on stuff, is getting fitness content out and the normal stuff. Keep the run club going and doing awesome events for those ladies.
My Desk Run Club.
Yeah. If you ever want to come back, please do.
Oh, we're totally going to. Yeah, Mackenzie was really happy to just meet new people.
Nice.
Everyone's so nice. You have runners and walkers. There was a couple people.
Yeah, my mom was there walking.
Your mom was there. There was a couple people that had their dogs in the back.
You guys need to say also it's women's only. So I can't go.
It's a run club for women.
Yeah, which I think.
ladies.
I mean, it was like super chill. Like everyone like. You know you have a good community when people stay for that long after the event's over.
Oh, and they're like chatting.
Yeah, when they're chatting for 30, 40 minutes after, it's like, that's a good
We're doing a trail series too, so that way people can get on the dirt, and that way if they're not comfortable kind of doing that on their own, they can do a trail run. It's like a short 5, maybe 6 mile loop.
I love it.
Up in Crystal Cove. So we're doing that like every other weekend starting May 31st. And then
it'll be great for the summer.
was
Some
trying to get
writing
some
on-
girls to sign up for a trail race. Whiting Trail Races
Oh,
reached
yeah.
out to us. So
Yeah.
I think I'll be running like maybe the half marathon distance for that one. But otherwise, just the same old
Shout
stuff.
out KH races.
Yeah,
Yes.
KH. That was
Yeah,
Kira's
Ki-
race first, and then I
yeah.
think she passed it off to Whiting. So
Kira's races, when people are in SoCal and they always ask me
It's like
what,
the best
races
race.
to
Oh my
do,
God,
I'm
she's-
like, any of
she's the
Kira's
best race
races,
director.
you'll be well taken care of.
yes.
Yeah.
She's a wonderful athlete. She's been in the sport for a very long time, and she knows what runners need. She's been dialed in for so long.
That's
so
the biggest part of a
yeah, I'm like, you know,
a race.
if you're in SoCal, Kira Henninger's races are a great. Yeah, Jesse's. Yeah.
so
Jesse and Kira.
They're an ultra running power
They're-
couple.
they-
they
are.
really are. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Well, we'll put all these links in our show notes. And then
Stay
of course,
tuned.
yeah, of course, we're all going to be doing stuff together too. I know
Yeah.
Right.
Max and
Yeah.
I have talked about like 14 different projects,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Mackenzie, like we're starting to talk about stuff. So I'm like, oh my
There's just
gosh.
more too. Every
There's
time we
more.
say something,
Stay online.
Yeah.
There'll be some content and
Yeah,
some things for
there's-
people to consume. And
already
that's
a
kinda
new
the
thing
next
I
step.
pitched for us to
Today.
do right before we
Yeah.
even push record.
Yeah.
So, and I love that. I love that we're like local and we're neighbors, and you know, we love all the
Now
same
everyone
stuff.
gets to hold
and
us accountable. Like Andy Glaze was like, I'm writing a book, so all of you get to hold me accountable.
I literally, well,
so it's like
okay,
now
so
I'm talking
after-
about what we're
After my
planning
podcast,
on.
I told him that I was like, "Have you thought about writing a book? Like, let me like help you." Well, he's
So
he's
stoked
using
doing
my
this. Yeah.
agent.
I can't wait.
So
I
so
can't
at,
wait.
and
I'm obsessed with
I
him.
couldn't
He's the
believe it.
best.
And I was talking because I'm
His
hoping
wife
to
is
have
so
him and
sweet.
his wife on here next as well. And then the other day I get a text. He's like, "Sally, thank you." He's like, "I'm already like 40,000 words in." I was like, "I'm so proud of
He's been
you."
crushing
Like
it. Yeah.
his story is so powerful.
cool.
I don't think a lot of people knew
No,
a lot
I
about
didn't know.
his
I learned
story.
so
Like they
much
just
from
think
your
he's
guys.
this
Yeah.
guy that does all these races and like runs in these, you know,
Well, and his wife was talking
jorts.
about she's been like reading the chapters that
Yeah.
he's been writing, and Lauren was like, "This is like unbelievable."
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, he's a
So-
great writer and speaker. So I already told Max he needs to write a book too, because your story
Let us
would
get the next
encourage-
few things going.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
know, but I think that's what's like so great. So I had stopped I stopped by Tim Tollefson's house even yesterday when I was in Mammoth, and like Tim is the same way. Tim is also like the idea person. He's just like everywhere. And Lindsay, his wife, who's awesome. Like she's very organized and like has all the, but anyway, anytime I'm around Tim, we're just like idea. And so we're like these beginning stages of the ideas. But the more I think about it, I'm like, man, like all the people that I wish I could just be around every single day, all day, we're all just like busy creating. Like we're all busy building that stuff. But then when we like all come together, it's just like
Fun.
fireworks. And so it's just so exciting. Here in California, we have a lot of awesome people doing great things
It's
that are building
amazing.
awesome stuff. So
It's amazing.
I feel so blessed to be just friends with you guys, and you know, just
Same.
knowing
Us
that
too,
we're all
likewise.
Same. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
we're all
Yeah.
going to just be growing together. And
Yeah.
whenever you guys
For
have
sure.
babies, you have like Aunt Sally and Uncle Eddie. Like if you need to go away for weeks for a race,
Somebody
I will
clip
take
this right
those
now.
babies.
Clip this.
You have no
Send
idea.
it. We're gonna send this.
Oh
to
my
you,
gosh!
Sally.
I still ask him. I'm
Do you
like,
watch dogs too? Yeah.
I mean, I still am like, can we like, we really want to adopt. I'm like, can we just have more babies? Like, I miss those stages. So I'm always waiting for my friends to have kids. And
My mom was saying that to all of
Yeah.
us kids the other day. She's like, I want my electric Volkswagen bus. Can someone get on it?
I just saw one of those this
They're
morning
so
in our
cool.
neighborhood.
They're
They are, but
so
they are
cool.
not as cool as the vintage
No, but I
19
mean,
69
they're-
21 window.
they're
VW
reliable for
Vitrine.
grandchildren to ride.
Yes, they are. They don't go very fast.
Right.
So good. Well, thank you so much, you
Thank you,
guys. I
Sally.
know
for
that
having
you
us.
Well, you guys are going to continue to be repeat guests because I just feel like the next time you come on, it's us talking about our adventures. We
Yeah.
will see each other at Western States. For those of you that are going to be at Western States, whether you're going just as a spectator, you're going to crew, pace someone. I will be there for TrailCon doing a few events. Max and Mackenzie, we're probably going to think of something. I don't know. It might be like a group run or something, like run to the top of the escarpment for the sunset.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
we'll think of something really fun. We hope to see you guys there. We'll keep you updated with notes from our socials to make sure that you follow our socials in the description. If you're going to UTMB, me and Max will also be there for that too. And if you're going to Mammoth Trail Fest, we are going to be doing a giveaway for entries into some of those Mammoth Trail Fest races. I think a lot of them are sold out, but you know, I know a guy. Tim Tollefson is a really great friend of mine. As you know, I push out the Mammoth Trail Fest every single year. I love anything that Tim is creating. It's amazing. It's an incredible week. Eddie and I do plan to be out there for both the Mammoth Trail Fest and the 200, and Max and Mackenzie are going to be there too. So let us know if you're going to be at any of those races. Make sure you come and say hi to us. We love community. We love connecting with you. And if you're still running, keep running strong. Keep choosing strong in all you do.
You've been running for a long time.
You've been running for a long time. That's the thing. Like people
honestly,
listen to us on the long run.
Good work.
Yes.
Good work.
Do you guys want to give us the closing and then tell people to keep choosing strong? That's how we end this.
But
what do you want to say to
the same
people?
thing I told them all last time is forward as a pace.
Yes.
Just keep moving.
I love that.
Yeah.
And Max, for those of our injured runners, which we always have injured people that are listening to this or building back up, which you're doing.
Just be patient, give yourself some time, and you will get better.
I love that. And keep choosing strong in all you do.